Welcome to Game Crunch, your weekly video game podcast. My name is Mike Anastasia, and with me today we got Brandon.
Hello.
We're here to talk about games and things.
Yep. Things that are games. Let's go.
So, what's on the agenda today?
Playing some games.
Yeah, some games. I tried out the Princess Peach Showtime demo, so I can talk about that. Let's see. You got Helldivers 2, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Nioh 2, and then Mario Day was this week. So we got those things to talk about.
Yep.
Ready to get into it?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. I will start with Princess Peach Showtime first. That is an upcoming game. There's a demo out now available. So if you want to try it, y'all can. Where do I want to start with this game? I don't love it. I can say that.
Ooh.
This is a disappointing demo.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I feel like, generally speaking, I tend to at least kind of understand demos. This one, and I don't mean like understand how to play it. That was not hard. This game was not hard to figure out in that regard. But just kind of, I guess, maybe what their thoughts were with this demo. So it gives you, what does it do? It gives you like an intro. You get to see the intro of like how the game starts. And then you get to play two different areas. You get to play one of the sword fighting areas and one of the bakery areas. So, and asterisk, caveat, important thing to know. It's kind of clear from the game itself that each kind of area will have multiple iterations. And even too, looking at the trailer, like the stuff that's in the trailer for like some of those areas wasn't necessarily things that I had played through the demo. So, you would like to think that, yeah, there's stuff here that I have not played. However, I will say the sword playing area was disappointingly simple, and the bakery area was also disappointingly simple, but also not super clear on some things, like how to play it. But I'll go into more detail on that in a second. I'll start with the sword fighting area first, because that's kind of where things were. Also, kind of back up a little bit. So we do know now, for sure, that this game is made by Good Feel. That was discovered with the release of the demo. They were able to look through the files and figure out, kind of where it came from. So that's one piece. We know that now. So it's makers of, Yoshi's Crafted World, Yoshi's Woolly World, Kirby's Epic Yarn, so those kind of things. But what they have here in this demo, super simplistic gameplay. I don't know if I should be surprised. I mean, it is a Princess Peach game. You figure age-wise, probably skews towards a younger audience. But this is just, it's very kind of basic. The sword fighting area, for example, it was basically just, you have a jump button, and then you have an everything else button. And the everything else button is like, it's your sword fighting, and it's your magical powers, and it is everything that you need. It's your parry button, like your like dodge button. So like when you're fighting an enemy, if all you have to do is like just mash the button, and then if they go to attack you, you'll dodge them because you're already mashing the button, and then you can just keep mashing and kill them. That seems to be kind of the takeaway. It did seem like maybe there's a little bit nuance in some of the other.
So it seems like they use one button to do everything.
Yeah, really.
Ugh.
Yeah. So
I liking that.
No. It did seem like that there might be some nuance. Like I said, this is like the first actual stage of the game. Like, you're not going to expect it to be anything like terribly difficult. So it's possible it could just be like, hey, this is just the first stage. It's really early, but hey, later in the game there's challenge things and things like that. So it's possible that maybe the difficulty will get amped up a little bit later on in their full game, but they definitely don't show it here. And the stuff that they do show, pretty simplistic. Another kind of maybe hopeful thing is there does seem to be these, I don't even know what they called them. They may have gave you a name in the game. If they did, I don't remember. And there's like these little crystals. It seemed like there was like 10 in each stage, and they're hidden. So just by going through both of the stages that they had available, I didn't collect all of them in either of them. Seems like they can be pretty cleverly hidden. So there might be some challenge there. But it's hard to say. The other stage, the bakery stage, was kind of like a mixed bag of mini games. So instead of kind of the action platformer stuff with the sword fighter, bakery is just kind of like, all right, decorate these cakes like this. They're spinning around, so you got a little bit to think about. One of the ones that was spinning around kind of broke my head. I actually wasn't able to finish it like in that first try. So yeah, definitely a little bit of a like challenge in some ways there. So that's a little bit more reassuring. But again, this was just kind of like a bunch of decorating mini games. One of them had you making cupcakes and giving them to like these delivery guys. I could not quite figure out what the like proper way to do it was. You hold a button for it to start making the ingredients, and then they kind of like start to glow up and turn into a rainbow, and then you're just supposed to let go. And sometimes they would turn into cookies, and sometimes they would explode. And I was not able to really figure out a rhyme or reason for it. The game wasn't very clear either. Like, hey, you should do it before this. Like there definitely was a point if you held it too long, it would explode. But definitely a point where I'd like let it go what seemed to be on time, and it would still explode into like just soot. I'm like, okay, well, I don't understand that. In terms of like other aspects of the game looks fine, like graphics wise. I mean, it's a clean Mario game, kind of like what you would expect. It did seem like there was a little bit of frame rate issues, but it didn't seem like it was during gameplay. It seemed more like maybe it was more some of the like scenes that they were doing, um, like during the gameplay, like when Peach was transforming. I noticed a little bit of a stutter, very small, not super noticeable, but there. Well, I mean, I guess if I notice it, it's probably noticeable, but definitely you notice it more there than during the gameplay. At least I did. Otherwise, though, that really seems to be about it. There's a lot of different costumes for Peach to go through. Each one kind of promises different gameplay. Um, but I would say, like I said, at the end of the day, this demo, playing through it, definitely not sold on the game. If anything, it made me want it less. And I don't know. I guess we'll see what else is there. Definitely would be like if I end up picking up, it would be like the game has very promising reviews, and this was just a very poorly implemented demo. I mean, you never know with demos. Like they try to, boil them down to like the smallest denominator. And this game seems like it's got a lot going on because each costume's kind of like different gameplay. So it's like, oh, maybe just the sword fighter gameplay play is just very not
Bad.
fun.
Yeah.
But maybe the other ones are better. I don't know. I would say for listeners, if you're interested in this game, try the demo. Cost you nothing. You can get a little bit more insight into the game, and then probably want to check out some reviews when they come out. Game comes out, I think, in about 2 weeks or less. So it's coming up. But yeah, definitely this game demo definitely didn't sell it. I would say though, just kind of on the, flip side though, Kirby's Epic Yarn started out like painfully easy. So did the Yoshi's like Woolly World, Crafted World. They started out painfully easy. So it could just be, a matter of like, hey, this is the start of the game. And then once you get into, the higher level stuff, there's challenge there. I mean, Nintendo does this a lot with Mario games as well, so it wouldn't surprise me there. But I said at least kind of the initial, get go, not terribly much there. So it'll be interesting to see. But as I said, at least right now, definitely not. I have not pre-ordered it yet, and this did not entice me to. So, yeah. So I guess just kind of more waiting there. Do you have any questions on it? Anything that I just kind of skipped
No,
over?
it
Okay.
sounds painfully mid.
Yeah. I think that's putting it nicely. Yeah. But yeah, that's it. I think it's my big thing for this week. I don't think I had anything else terribly exciting. What about you? What have you been playing?
So I've been playing quite a few things actually. I
Yeah.
have been playing Helldivers 2, which is still great. I love this game. It's really fun. But the thing I've been putting the bulk of my gameplay into is definitely Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. So I played through only about five chapters or so, which is really not that much in the grand scheme of things. But I've done it on 2 different saves.
Okay.
So me and Katie are playing together, and we're going more story there. When I'm playing with her, that sort of thing.
When you
And we're
say two
playing on.
different saves, are you playing like one save with Katie and there's one save for
Yes,
yourself? Okay.
correct. Yes. So on that one, I've played through quite a bit of the story. Not actually, probably, but I've gotten, I'd say maybe 7 to 10 hours into the story for the save with Katie. And then on my save, I've 100%ed everything up to that same 7 to 10 hours of the story.
Okay.
So it's 2 separate things. Like me and her are playing like on a lower difficulty for the story, that sort of thing. So we can just get the story and enjoy the game and not be stressed or anything and be able to experience it that way. And then
Okay.
on my save, I'm just playing on a higher difficulty and trying to 100% everything. So
That's a smart way to do it.
yeah, and it also allows me to like catch up to where we are, so then we can continue our save and go through more story, which then gives me more things to do on my save, and so on and so forth. And it also it's like a little bit of a break in between, essentially.
And also not like spoiling Katie at the same time.
Exactly. So I think this is a really, really good game. Like really good. The open world aspect of it is kind of really weird to me. So here's essentially how it works. When you get to a new region, right? There's some small side quests, that sort of thing. Like maybe go find this card that someone stole, because there's a card game in this Final Fantasy, because of course there fucking is. Every game needs a hard card game now that that Witcher did it, but also Final Fantasy kind of did it first. But this is a new card game. So anyway, the side quests range from something like that all the way to you've been sucked into a board game, and now your characters in Final Fantasy look like they originally did in the PS1 game, and you're playing a tower defense using them. And there's some really, really weird like side quests here that are actually like a ton of fun. Condor is not fun. Fuck that shit. That shit sucks. I had to do that 4 times to 100% it, and fuck that garbage. Queen's Blood also can be very unfun on higher difficulties. It's just anyway. Moving on from that. Yeah, the open world's really interesting because you have this one materia that's called Assess, which tells you the weaknesses of every enemy when you cast it. And there's actually a quest to cast it on every enemy in the region, so you know all their weaknesses and they're all cataloged. That can be really difficult if you're not doing it the first time you meet them, because then you have to go back and figure out which ones you scanned and which ones you didn't by the end of that region, and it's kind of hell. But either way, it's very enjoyable. It opens the world up a lot in the open world, and there's a lot of stuff to do, even though if you were to just push through it and ignore it, you could totally do that and not really miss that much, in my opinion. There are some things here that I definitely know is being built up where it's like, oh, you 100%ed it, here's an Ultima weapon, that sort of thing, or here's an Ultima materia or some dumb shit like that. I 100% see that coming, but they always do that in Final Fantasy games. So yeah. Actually, hold on. Why can't I remember this name of the summon? Final Fantasy
Ifrit. Shiva.
Nope. It's not one of the normal ones. That's why I'm confused. Is it this one? It is not that one. What the fuck is this guy's name? It's not that one either. Who the fuck are you? It's not any of the like normal summons. It's not Leviathan, it's not Ifrit, it's not Shiva, it's one of the other ones. Whose name I cannot remember right now to save my life. But he's like very well known also. Hold on. Let me figure out this guy. He has like 4 arms. Oh fuck, why can't I think of his name? What is his fucking name?
Mm.
Uh, it's not you. What the fuck is it? Oh my god, what is this goddamn name? Oh, I bet Gilgamesh. It's Gilgamesh.
Okay.
So Gilgamesh, I know, is like as I'm doing like the 100% stuff, right? Um, I'm getting pieces of his armor, which has made me realize, oh, okay, so like I'm gonna be able to do something with those armor pieces. But like each region has a different piece of his armor, and when you obtain it, you get like teleported to this place, and you're able
Hmm.
to speak with him in some capacity, and then like you get brought back to the real world, almost like you're blacking out essentially, and because everyone's like, hey, what happened to you after like you touched the armor in each individual region. So it's kind of like, okay, don't know what's going on here, but something is definitely going on. So that's kind of cool. There's other things that are happening. Like I said, I've been going around and playing the Queen's blood thing. I've been going around and doing the uh, there's like snapshots where they've integrated in photo mode to the actual game itself. So like you go to certain vistas in Final Fantasy VII and you take a picture there using the actual photo mode option in the PS5, and when you do so, it completes a quest,
Okay.
which is kind of cool. Um, there's a few little ideas in this that are like really nice. This game on performance settings still looks like dog shit. I will say that, like
Okay.
100%. And that will bring me to a conversation I want to have later
Yeah.
in this episode, which we will talk about. Um, but we'll move on for that. Just gonna say, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is a very good game with lots of little like side quests and different characters that you run into that are really interesting and very fun. The boss battles have been really good and quite enjoyable. I like that you can do things like have pre-designed parties. So like you know how you normally have to swap in and out characters and everything. You can make 3 presets
Uh-huh.
to have the party that you want. So like say I want Barrett and I want Aerith. So I have a preset that's Barrett and Aerith, and I have a preset that's Tifa and Aerith, and I have a preset that's Barrett and Red 13. So I have those presets, and I can like change them on the fly while I'm like playing. So that's a really good feature because it allows me to like swap up my party in between battles without having to go into the main menu and doing all that shit. So very nice. I like that a lot.
Okay.
It's just in general, it's a really good game. It's
Yeah.
awesome. I also played some Nioh 2 because it was in a Humble bundle and it was gifted to me.
Okay. Yeah. That's
So yeah,
no
yeah,
reason. Nothing wrong with that.
yeah. It's I mean, Nioh 2 is still a really good game. I played a little bit of it on PS4 before PlayStation 5 came out,
Hmm.
and I liked it then. And now that I've played it again on PC, I mean, I still like it. I do think that this is one of the harder Souls-like games that is not, you know, an actual Dark Souls game. And I do think this is harder than some Dark Souls games. But I can't really tell if it's because it's like well designed or if it's because it's like just difficulty for difficulty's sake at some points, because there's definitely some points where it's like that's such bullshit, and I've had moments like that in Nioh 2 quite a bit. But overall, I like this game. I like the fact that in Nioh 2 you get to make your own character, and you also have like your own designed entity that you can turn into your own uh, yokai. There you go. That's the one I was looking for. And you can like use that ability to also like guard break and that sort of shit. And it's very enjoyable. I quite like it. It's neat. But yeah, that's essentially all I've played, and I've been having fun. I had some issues with my PC, surprisingly, to literally nobody. I don't know what happened, but I'm having some really big trouble right now. The 2 fans on my front case just kind of stopped working, and that really sucks. So I haven't been playing as much as I want, and I've been playing more console games than anything. So there's that.
Okay. Yeah. This.
Let's move on, I guess, because you got nothing else to talk about, right?
No, I don't have anything else.
Okay, okay.
Hmm. Do you want to do your question then?
I mean, it's going to be 2 questions, and
Yeah. Why don't you do
okay,
that?
all right. These are 2 questions and I'll just go with the first one, and it's a
Okay.
game. So I see you have a thing here about Mario 10 Day, and March 10th, Mario Day.
Mhm.
I actually wanted you to do this so I could go into my question.
Oh, you want me to go
And
first? Yeah, we can go over
yeah,
it.
yeah,
There's not much to say. I mean, it really was just kind of all I was going to say is, yeah, Nintendo celebrated, Mario Day this week as they do usually every year. A couple things are on sale. Surprisingly, Mario versus Donkey Kong was not. I was surprised, but
mhm,
they probably will wait till next year. Um, but kind of the big things whereas they finally gave us a date for Paper Mario Thousand Year
yeah,
Door, and they gave us a date for Luigi's Mansion 2. And it's Paper Mario is at the end of May, and Luigi's Mansion 2 is at the end of June.
yeah.
So we know those are coming up, which
And they
means
also
Nintendo's
added new titles to Nintendo Switch Online.
yes, they added Mario Golf,
Yeah, that game's
Mario
awesome.
Tennis,
Yeah,
and
Dr. Mario, right?
Dr. Mario. Yes. I was trying to think. I'm like, it's a Mario puzzle game. I was running through in my head. Surprisingly, I think this first Mario Land's still not on there, but I think it has Mario Land 2,
Mario Land 2 is on there. Yeah,
which is an excellent game.
it's better than
Um,
the first Mario Land.
First Mario Land wasn't even made by Miyamoto,
Yeah.
which is surprising considering like the timing. But
Hmm.
um, yeah, I mean, it was kind of they did a decent job, getting some announcements up there. We all knew it wasn't going to be anything like jaw dropping, but there was
Yeah.
definitely, some they definitely took some care to make sure it was like appreciated, I guess. So kind of shuffled things around, but at the same time, it also kind of made me wonder. It's like, okay, well, they must not be as short on software as we had figured.
Hmm.
So, because think about it, if you think about it a different way, if Nintendo is pushing back the Switch 2 to next year, and the question is like, well, what's the rest of this year? Figure if they were really short on stuff, they might have been like, Luigi's Mansion 2, like July, Paper Mario, September. But they pushed both of them in the first half of the year. So um, they have a pretty decently packed first half of the year. Granted, it's all Mario stuff, but there's a lot there, between the different things. Although it's also like mostly ports too, I
Hmm.
suppose. But because they decided to push it all in the first half of the year, makes me think that they actually have stuff for the second half of the year. So it's pretty promising. But otherwise, yeah, that's really, really kind of all the stuff that they had. Did I get all the stuff? Was there something else you wanted for Mario Day? That was a big
Uh,
thing.
no,
Okay.
I was going to use that as a jumping off point, but I forgot something that was like super important that
Oh,
happened news wise that I want to talk about.
yeah.
So they released, and by they I mean Sony, the Stellar Blade demo on the 8th for PS5.
Mm-hmm.
They removed the Stellar Blade demo on the 8th for PS5. In fact, if you were mid playing the demo, it was taken from you
Ooh.
while you were doing so. They accidentally put up a demo, but they also showed that they can literally take anything away from people at any point in time if it's a digital game, which was pretty shocking for quite a few people because many people were in the middle of playing it and they didn't think anything was wrong, and then their game just told them you no longer have access to this and booted them out of it, and then you couldn't boot it on your system anymore. And that was something people found out about, that Sony just has access and can and will do that to you if they feel like it, essentially. And that's pretty wild.
I think that I don't. I think the surprising thing from this news is not so much that they could do it. I think it was more the fact that they did do it.
Yeah,
It's like you should have
yeah.
just been like, "Oops,
Now there's
demo's
people
out
that have
now."
like literally like 90-minute videos of the entire demo on YouTube before, and no one else can even play it. So it's like maybe you guys should just kind of release that now, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it's we y'all know it's coming. You put it out there. Like
Yep.
just put out your trailer that announces it early and
Hmm.
just be like, oops, we fucked up. But
Yep.
um but it
I
also
wish they
might not
would.
be their call either. It's possible maybe, the developer was like, no, we want it on this day. Who knows?
So from what I
Um
saw, the developer didn't have a say in it, and they actually just were like, just release it. And Sony was the one
yeah.
that said no.
Who's
From what I
publishing
saw,
it?
it's published by Sony.
Oh, so it's Sony's call. Yeah, so then you can just blame Sony then. Yeah.
Hey, it looks really good. It made me want to play the game.
I've heard good things. I heard the demo was pretty good.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's surprising. But like I said, not surprising that they have the ability to do so, but more so that I would say kind of the thing that was surprising was the fact that A, they did it on like a big scale, and B, the fact that it like interrupted you playing it. You know, I think it would have been like, oh, you know, if you're in it, you know, it'll let you play until you exit it. But nope, apparently not. They just wanted everyone out.
So. All right. So I'm gonna go to the game I had come up with that I definitely didn't just steal from a random YouTube video.
Okay.
So here's how the game works, right?
Okay.
It's top 5 blank, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you and me have to agree, no matter what, and we can only pick 5. It has to be of something specific. So I was thinking, since it's Mario Day, let's pick top 5 Mario games.
Okay, I like it. I like this game.
So we like throw one out, and then we either, you know, collude on with each other as to why that does deserve to be in the spot, or we argue with each other why that doesn't deserve to be in it. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So
is it like just 5 in any order, or does it have to be like 5 from like...
You put them in order afterwards, but you have to get those 5 first.
So just like we do Game of the Year,
sort of,
except smaller.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right.
So I'm gonna throw out Odyssey. I think Odyssey is incredible.
Let me see. I gotta find a place to write this stuff down on this document. Let's see. So Odyssey. I can't even spell. I hate spelling Odyssey.
I do too. I don't even know if I spelled it correctly just now. I was writing it down in a notepad. Did I spell it right? I did spell it right. Let's go.
It didn't do the jaggy.
Yeah, the red line where it's like, yeah, you fucked that up, Chief.
Yeah. No, I think Odyssey's a fair one. I definitely. Well, what if we put something on here, but then we think of something else? Can we take something off?
You can take something off, yes.
Okay.
But we both have to agree on removing it. You know how it is.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm fine with Odyssey being on this list. I would say Super Mario 3D World. I think definitely should be on this list.
Okay. All right.
We all like that one.
Yeah. I think I agree with that.
I would hope so. You agree with it every other time we fucking talk about the game.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, but it's pretty unique in the grand scheme of Mario games because it's kind of that pseudo 3D side scroller, but also
you could be a cat.
Player. Yep, you could be a cat. It's one of my favorite ones easily. I can just it's just fun to kind of run in and get power.
Out of every Mario ever released.
I mean, it's not. I didn't say it's my absolute favorite, but definitely one of my favorites.
But the question is it top 5?
Yeah,
and that's where. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, definitely top 5. But I don't know.
All right. Can we have a gentleman's agreement right now that would piss off everyone?
Sure.
Mario 64 does not go on this list.
I don't think most people would put it on their list.
A lot of people would.
You think?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think we talked about it before. Like,
I think Mario 64 is so ingrained in people that they don't realize just how bad it is.
I mean, Mario 64...
how badly it aged. I think that's a better way of putting it. Like a lot of people will be like, "Yeah, well, look at what speedrunners do," and it's like, "Yeah, they break the fuck out of the game." Doesn't that tell you just how badly it aged?
Well, yeah, no, exactly. And Mario 64, I think we've talked about it before. It's a game that I would consider important, but not necessarily good.
I love watching people that are good at Mario 64 play Mario 64. You could not pay me to play Mario 64, though.
I mean, it is a game I like to play through from time to time. It
definitely
has control issues and it definitely has camera issues. And I think if you like just went through and like did a decent job just fixing those, I think that would change this game pretty significantly. But as it is right now, in its original form, like it's just not that great. Yeah, but I agree 100%. Also, interestingly, and surprisingly relevant because I had seen it last night, I watched a really sick video on YouTube yesterday.
Was it by Summoning Salt?
No.
I love Summoning Salt.
There was a video where someone went through and like basically did some sort of like cinematic video of Bomb on Battlefield, and it looks
Okay.
really freaking great. Let me see if I can. Well, I should be able to find it. Let me find it for you fast. Okay, but while I'm doing that, what's your next game?
Oh, what is my next Mario game? I actually have to ask you a question.
Sure.
So I know you have Mario 3D World on here, but would it be Mario 3D World and Bowser's Fury, or just Mario 3D World? Because there is a difference. Most of it has to do with using the Wii pad, but yeah.
See, when I visualize like these things, I consider Bowser's Fury like itself a separate entity.
But
Whereas
you can only buy it as one. That's the reason I was saying that. Because one is definitely the Switch and one is the Wii U. And the one you have right now is the Wii U.
But it could just be the Switch one. Just
well,
not
then
talking
it's
about the Bowser's Fury
plus
thing.
Bowser's Fury, because that's the actual title of the game. That's what I'm trying to say.
So you want to count them as like the same thing? I mean,
they are literally the same thing. That's the title of the game. Like that's on the case.
They are like you buy them in one package, but like I consider them separate games, even though you buy them together. But if you want to count it as a set, I'm fine with that too. It's not like it's a bad deal.
It's not so much that I'm.
Too.
Well, I'm not saying like I'm counting it so much as a set as I am saying like that's literally what's on the case when you buy it at Walmart, Target, anywhere. That's the full title of the game.
Well, no,
that's the only reason I was
understand what you're
semantics.
Saying.
That's what I'm doing. I'm running semantics here.
Well, so I guess the question is, are you talking about the way this list is being made? Are you considering about like retail packages, or are you talking about like physical games? Because I would do the same thing with Mario All Stars. Like I wouldn't put Mario All Stars in this list.
No, I wouldn't put Mario
All Stars in this
list either. Yeah, exactly.
I would put like the individual titles in, and that's kind of the same way I view.
But then that would be you playing them on the original system. That's the point I'm trying to make. If you put like Mario Galaxy 2, you're talking Wii. If you put Mario All Stars, you're talking all three of them. But also then you have to take into account, like for instance, Sunshine on Mario All Stars. It doesn't have those triggers. It doesn't have the feel that the GameCube original did. There are
but you
differences.
Can use a GameCube controller if you really want to.
I guess you're right, but I don't know. I'm just trying to say specific games, like say for instance, I was like Mario Kart 64. I'm not talking Mario Kart 64 on the Nintendo Online thing. I mean like the original ass Mario Kart 64.
See when I like with these kind of lists, like when we do things like this,
it's just specifically the game, you know.
Well, that's my thing. Like if I said Mario Kart 64, like as a thing. Like, I don't care which platform it's on, like, as long as it's Mario Kart 64. So it's like, your mileage may vary depending on which system you pick, but at the end of the day, it's kind of up to you to choose which platform you like best. That's kind of how I feel about Super Mario 3D World as well. Like, yeah, you can play it on the Wii U or you can play it on the Switch. That core game itself is very similar.
Then let's just say it's just the game. It doesn't matter where it is, then we'll just make it that way. It's just the game.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. It's a Mario game, and it's a damn good one. It might be one of my most played Mario games of all time.
I mean, it is a good Mario Kart game, but my thing with it is always like, is it a Mario game though?
Yes. I mean, yes.
I know
literally.
He agrees with me. Yeah. No, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You know exactly what I'm talking about. But I don't just. It is the best Mario Kart game. Like absolutely.
Okay, so all right, hear me out here, right? Because you're like, is it a Mario game? All right. Mario sports games. You got tennis, you got golf, you got Mario Kart, you got like basketball. You've got all like you got those four, so to speak, right? The main thing that links them all together is Mario, because it's a Mario game. That's my main takeaway when I say like Mario Kart's a Mario game, because all four of those are Mario games. They're just in a different genre.
Sure.
Like, Dr. Mario would still be a Mario game.
I don't like this. All right, but I will tentatively let you put
Mario
Mario
Maker's
Kart.
a Mario game.
No.
Uh,
Um,
What? How? What? Literally, you can play Mario stages in the game. It is a game made around making stages for all the different Mario games. How is it not a Mario game?
because it's not like a crafted experience. Is Mario Paint a Mario game?
That's actually a good question. Is
I don't
Mario
know.
even in Mario Paint?
Yes.
I don't remember.
Yeah. Every once in a while, he'll walk by the screen. It's one of those things you can color in, which is like a Mario and Yoshi coloring book thing. I think his head is like a note for like the music maker as well. I
Okay.
think his um I'm pretty sure his head
Okay.
was.
All right. Well, all right. All right. Here's the other question. Would you even put Mario Paint on this list?
Doesn't matter because you're
No,
testing the
it
boundaries of
doesn't.
semantics. So so
Oh
I'm
my
just trying to
god.
test the other boundary, see how far you push it, even if I don't want to push it there. So I'm just saying, there's lots of questionable Mario games. You could be like, oh, it's a Mario title, but it's not really. Just because it has Mario in the name and on the package doesn't mean it's a Mario game.
Mm.
But like I said, we had this discussion. I don't remember how many years ago, where Nick and I both did not think that Mario Kart games were Mario games, and then you started your Twitter crusade and found that weird group of people. It was
What?
like, oh yeah, yeah. You don't remember this?
I do. Just you calling it a Twitter crusade. It's like Jesus Christ.
That's
Well, I
literally
won.
what it
I
was.
still won at the end of the day. They literally agreed with me.
Yeah, because you poison the polls. That's why.
How did I poison the polls? The
Because you
fucking
found that
hell.
weird Mario group of like I don't like the Mario death cult. Um, that was like, oh yeah, they, they were all about that Mario Kool Aid,
Yeah, no,
and
the Twitter porn bots were like, let me vote that it
yeah,
is.
exactly. So I will let you have Mario Kart 8 on this list. That's fine. I just don't
Okay, well, here's the
love it.
question: would Mario Kart 8 be your pick of the Mario Kart games?
Yeah, it's a great Mario Kart game.
Okay,
I don't disagree on that side of things. So that's fine. Um, but my next choice would be pretty easy, I think. I'd probably put Galaxy 2 up there.
Galaxy 2 is good.
Hmm
That's fine. 100%. That's fine.
hmm Um,
Ah, shit! I hit the wrong button on my keyboard and it's all flashy now.
yeah, but I think Galaxy 2 is probably like the pinnacle of like the 3D Mario stuff.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think that I mean, it's got lots to do. It's like that game feels almost endless. So
Yeah,
in terms of content, there's
definitely.
so much, and just it's very well polished. There's lots of fun things to do. So yeah, I like that one.
Do we put a Super Nintendo or an NES game on here?
I would say either Mario 3 or Mario World has to go on this list.
I think Mario 3.
Mario 3 is my favorite. So
Same. Yeah, let's go Mario 3.
mhm.
Alright, so we have 5 here, but the question is in what order do they go?
Um, mm,
All right,
I
hear
would.
me out. All
Okay.
right, no, go on, go on, go on. I want to hear what you have to say.
I was gonna say 3D World, Mario Bros. 3, Galaxy 2, Mario Kart 8 Odyssey.
I was gonna say Galaxy 2, 3D World, Odyssey, Mario 3, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe.
Okay. So we agreed Mario Kart 8 is the last thing on this list.
Yep,
So that's
that's
good.
fine. That's fine.
hmm
I do think Odyssey should be right there in the center.
by the center, you mean 4? Then
3,
I 100% agree.
3,
What would you want us for then?
Mario 3.
Fuck that! Mario 3 is way better than Odyssey.
No, yeah,
Yeah.
that's nostalgia.
No, it's not. It's fantastic. And you can play it like so many different ways. So you got tons of ways to play it. It's a
What did
great
you want to
game.
be number 1 again?
3D World.
3D World, really?
Yeah. I'd put 3D World over Galaxy.
I don't. What?
hmm Yeah. Where's Nick? Nick would agree with me on all of this.
Dude, no, it'd be Galaxy 2, 3D World, 3, This is Odyssey, Kart 8 Deluxe.
So you put Odyssey down at 4?
Yeah, I'll do that for you if you put Galaxy at 1.
Where did you put Mario 3? Third?
Hold on. Let me write this out so my brain actually.
It's on the list.
No, I mean, like, let me write my. Oh, it's in the doc. Okay, cool. Let me go check the fucking doc.
I just have it below news right now.
Okay. Galaxy 2, 3D World, Mario 3, Odyssey, Mario Kart 8. Yeah, I'm okay with this.
Yeah, I think it's fine.
All right. And we did
it. Yay!
Oh, a lot of consensus, but I think we did it.
Yeah, no, I think that's pretty decent list, I would say.
I think so too.
Okay.
There was another thing, obviously, that I wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
You have a Series X now.
Yeah.
So you've played modern games.
Mm-hmm.
You've played modern games at modern frame rates.
Mm-hmm.
So you've seen games running at 60 FPS, presumably. And you've also played Odyssey, so you know what 60 FPS feels like.
Yeah.
There's been a thing going around where people are just saying there's no difference between the two. There's no difference between 30 and 60. And a game can't be made worse. And it should be acceptable for there to be 30 FPS games in 2024.
You know I'm the worst person to have this conversation.
I know you are, but here's the question.
Okay.
Do you think with all our modern hardware, you know, we got the PS5, we got the Series X, we're not looking at the Switch. You understand? Yeah. We have two consoles that were sold on either 4K or 60 FPS.
Uh-huh.
Do you think with them having games now that are specifically only 30 FPS that's acceptable? Because I think that's ridiculous.
Well, I think it depends on what they're doing. I think on my side of things, and I've always been, because I really don't care between 30 and 60. It doesn't bug me either way. But my thing has always been like,
do you care?
Pick a frame rate and be consistent. That's kind
it's
of
not
the thing.
Specifically, do you care? It's that, do you care that this $500, $600 console, whatever, that was sold based off of these specs and told that you were going to be doing this, and you did do this when the system first came out, is now releasing games that are only 30 FPS?
Okay.
It feels like a bait and switch.
You knew it was really going to be bullshit from the beginning. So, or at least I hope so.
Well, the beginning, it was fine. There was no problem with the beginning. They all maintained it. They all looked great. They all played great. People have gotten lazy.
Well, I think it tends to be, I don't know if lazy is the right word. I'm sure it could be a factor. I think it tends to be, the issue tends to be more that they try to be too ambitious. And then what happens is they're like, someone's like, oh man, we got all this extra hardware. Let's do something cool. Like, we'll just use it because I know it's an example of something that will fuck up your frame rate. But they'll be like, oh yeah, let's use, like more realistic lighting. Let's do ray tracing.
Yeah.
So they're like, let's do that. So they start to implement it, and they're like, hey, we got it working, but it sure did fuck up our frame rate.
Yeah.
And then, they're like, well, that's kind of where the trade-in comes in. They're like, well, we could probably make it work if we slash the frame rate in half.
Yeah, and I thought you were going to say this, which is why I already had something prepared for this.
Good. All right.
Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Yeah.
Its lighting is great. It looks great. It plays great at 60 FPS.
Yeah.
At like either 1440 or 1800p. One of those. Not 4K, but still good for what it is, right?
Yeah.
Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Arguably, its lighting and graphics look worse than Remake.
Oh yeah, you were talking about that.
Yeah. And it runs at 60, but it looks like Vaseline was smeared on it, and it looks way worse than Remake did. And when you turn it to quality mode, right? The 30 FPS mode, it doesn't look as good as Remake did in its 60 FPS mode. So when I think about that, then I think this just has to be a case of they didn't care to optimize it. They just did not give a shit. That like Square Enix did not care. They just knew that they were going to put it out, and then people were going to eat it up because it was a sequel to a series that already existed, and they didn't put their best into it. That is my entire thought process on this game in general. I love this game. I think it's an excellent game. I think they did not put their best foot forward when it comes to graphical quality and frame rate, and I think that they just didn't care. And I think that that is starting to be the go-to for games in general. For instance, Dragon's Dogma 2. It is coming out. There is no 60 FPS mode. Period. There is none. There is no 30 FPS mode. There is no ray tracing. From what I recall. I'm going to double check. But I'm pretty sure there's no ray tracing for Dragon's Dogma 2. Double checking. Okay. There is shadowed ray tracing for Dragon's Dogma 2. It doesn't look like they have anything else. So,
Okay.
Even so, there's been plenty of games that have shadow ray tracing, that sort of thing, whatever. And they still did 60 FPS modes without it. They're not doing a 60 FPS mode for the game, period. Like, at all. It is only 30. And that's the only way you can play the game. But it's not even a locked 30. They didn't even attempt to make a lock for it. It's an unlocked frame rate that can't reach over 30 FPS and often at times is below 30 FPS on console. On the PS5, on the Series X, not on a PS4, not on an Xbox One, not on a Series S. On the top of the line hardware, this can't even reach 30 FPS. And people are still eating it up because it's pretty. And I look at it and I'm like, it's not pretty enough to be this frame rate. It's not acceptable. It's not acceptable to pay these prices for new consoles and then get this quality of game. Like, we're dropping to 24. We're dropping to 20. This is not okay. And it's not like this is a JRPG. This is an action RPG, similar to something like, your Bayonetta or your Devil May Cry's.
Yeah.
This is that. And it's dropping below 30 FPS on modern hardware. That's not okay. And that's kind of where I sit with that. Like, that's just not okay.
Yeah, a little. I would say too, and this kind of comes back to a conversation I know, a point that I've kind of made in the past about game development. I really don't think, especially when you're only targeting one platform for development. You make the game around the system. What the PlayStation's capable of, especially if you're running between a performance mode and not. You got options. You can make it so it's like, hey, here's a steady looking, a steady running, decent looking version of this game, and then here's your performance mode. That's what the point of those features were. To, kind of mess things around with.
Yeah, exactly.
So I definitely agree with you on that point. That would be disappointing. That's not, you would expect one of those things to be good.
Yeah.
And that's going to be kind of like, oh, the game looks really nice. That's why the frame rate's not where it needs to be. But it sounds like you're not even getting that. So I would say that
nice.
Sounds more.
It is nice, but it's not like nice in a way where it's like, damn, those graphics deserve the frame rate to be at like 24 FPS, 20 FPS. It's not that kind of quality. You know what I'm saying? But it is definitely still nice. It looks good. Like, it looks very good, but it's not the kind of, this looks very good to the point where it's like, I understand why why it's doing this. I don't understand why it's doing this. It just feels like laziness, and it feels like a lot of developers, when coming to the end almost of this console generation, because for some reason we're ending this console generation very, very soon, from what I've been hearing, to the point where supposedly a PS4 Pro will be out before the end of the year, which is fucking wild to me, because I mean PS4, listen to me, PS5 Pro, sorry, will be out by the end of the year, which is fucking wild to me, because like, I feel like we just got the PS5 officially 2 years ago. Before that, it was just ported PS4 games with upres. You know what I'm saying? And we're already moving on. Something just seems very rushed. You know what I'm saying? It just
Yeah, I
doesn't
agree.
feel
Like
right.
none of the developers ever seem to be on board with the specs, I think, for either the Xbox or the PlayStation. They're
Hmm.
kind of like it's almost it's weird because it's almost like kind of the PC mentality. They're like, we're just gonna make it how we want to make it,
Hmm.
and we'll see how it runs on the system. As opposed to, like, hey, I'm making a game for this platform.
Hmm.
Let's make sure it's optimized for this platform.
The
Um,
two best games that have been released this generation, or I'm going to go three. The three best games that have been released this generation have all been released by Sony, every single one of them, and they've all like done incredibly well. So for instance, and they've all had options, a lot of options. So for instance, you got Ratchet and Clank Rift in Time. That game's incredible. The
mhm.
amount of options that you have there, you have 1440p ray tracing at 60. You have 1800p ray tracing at 40 fps, which is completely new, but it actually is such a step up from 30 that it is a noticeable difference. You have full 4K ray tracing at 30 FPS, runs perfectly fine, and then you have no ray tracing at like 120 that you can do, and it's great at 1080p, but it's great and it runs incredibly well. You have Returnal, where you got the 4K 30 FPS mode native thing. It runs awesome. You have the 1440p with the ray tracing at 60 FPS, and it runs fucking awesome. It's excellent. It's an excellent game. And then you also have the Demon Souls remake that was one of the first games that released on the PS5, which has a full 1440, 60 FPS ray tracing enabled mode. All three of those games, incredible. Actually pushing the hardware massively. They came out in the first 2 years. Why the fuck is that happening? And then they look better than most of the games we're getting these last 2 years.
Yeah.
And we can't maintain that kind of quality anymore, and it doesn't make any sense. It just feels like laziness when you look at it that way. Like, it really does. It just feels like other people aren't putting their best foot forward, and they're not giving us the actual quality products that we got at the beginning of the generation, because at the beginning of the generation, people gave us quality products to get us into this generation. Now we're leaving this generation and going to the pro generation, essentially the in-between generation, and they don't care to give us the quality products because they want to push us to that pro system instead. And that's what I feel like is happening.
It's probably, well, I mean, Sony obviously has more of a need to make sure that their own, first party games are
Mm-hmm.
better. Um,
And all
but
three of the ones that I talked about were first party Sony games. So
yeah, I
yeah.
said, do you think
But
they
I
at least
mean,
would have thrown a few more
Spider-Man,
bones to
look at
Square
Spider-Man
Enix?
2. Spider-Man 2 was kind of a little bit of a mess. And that was a thing that happened. So
Yeah. You think Sony would have been like throwing a few more bones to Square Enix and be like, hey, why don't you polish this game up a little bit? um, but yeah, no, I
I
don't
mean, and
disagree at all.
that happened twice, because they also released Final Fantasy 16 last year, and that game I think actually ran at 720p when you played the 60 FPS mode, and that is unacceptable.
But that's I would say though, if it looked, I think my thought would be though, if you're talking about the trade off,
Hmm.
if it's 60 FPS, but it's a hit to resolution, but it still looks really good, you know, that's more of a reasonable trade off, I think, if you're going
So
between the
here's
two
the
different
thing:
modes.
when your console, right, is built on like 1080p, say like the Switch, right,
Yeah.
and 720p for its handheld, as
Hmm.
i.e. the Switch, um, up-resing from something to something isn't that big a deal. But when you take a 1080p, or, well, 1080p is not as bad, but when you take a 720p image and you blow that up on a 4K TV, you notice, and it looks really bad. Like,
Yeah.
it's not like acceptable. It's blurry. It's a mess, and in some cases, because of how blurry and like, how much of an issue that is when it's in motion and it's moving very quickly, it can actually physically cause you pain, like cause headaches and everything because of eye strain. And that is a very real problem that happens with some of these recent games that are in less than quality performance modes is what I would say.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I mean, in that particular one, though, it seems like it might be more appealing to someone. Like the what's the word I'm looking for? I just had it in my head now. I thought the percentage of people, not the word I'm looking for, word, that have 4K TVs. It's still not like the majority yet. So I'm sure
But
there's
is it?
people
I
that
mean,
have.
they're literally like less than $200 now for a 4K TV. Like
I don't know.
I don't see 1080p TVs sold period anymore.
Yeah, but that's assuming that everyone goes out and buys a new TV pretty regularly.
I'm not even talking
Um,
about regularly. I haven't seen them for like the last 7 years.
yeah, but I'm saying, how often do you buy new TVs?
Bought one 4 years ago, and I bought one 3 years ago, and those two, they were to replace older 4K TVs. And those two TVs, when I went to go get those, like 1080p didn't exist anymore for like TVs then. So at least 4 years ago, I couldn't find a 1080p TV that was actually like being sold. So if you take into account that 4 years ago I couldn't find that, and this console generation has been out for what, 5 now, 5 maybe, almost 5, something like that. Since this
Yeah.
console generation has begun, if you've bought a TV, you have not bought a 1080p TV.
Well, and that's reasonable. But like I said, at the flip side, though, it's not like I said, I don't think the
I think we're in the point now where it's upgrading to OLED, not upgrading to 1080p to 4K. I honestly do not think there is a large majority of people who don't have 4K TVs.
let's see. I think it's a lot less than you think it is. It says March 2021, only 44% of households had a 4K TV.
Jesus Christ.
So yeah, so I don't know. I guess it really depends, obviously I think that they're going to try to cater towards that, kind of highest denominator, or lowest denominator rather. So I think that they're going to go that way, but I don't know. I mean, I still have a 1080p TV. I'm not upgraded yet. I actually think
Oh wow. What? I thought you had a 4K now.
no, I don't have 4K. We
What
talked
the
about it with
fuck?
Dead Space. I don't remember Nick complaining about me being like, I think Dead
Oh,
Space
I
won't
do
work
remember
that much
that.
better.
Yeah.
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 So honestly, I think the other side of it though is too. I don't know. In my like circle of people that I know,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm sure I probably have people that have a 4K TV,
That's
but
so
I'm
weird.
not.
It's the exact opposite. In my circle of people I know, I don't know anyone with a 1080p TV anymore or monitor.
Yeah, I just assume that my like super like techie friends probably do,
Mm-hmm.
but I honestly
But 4K isn't like super techy. It's been like the norm for like 10 years.
but that's the thing. Like it was it was still a new technology and not like super widely adopted until the last couple of years, and like you're saying, those 1080p TVs are no longer there.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, people are buying them now when they need TVs. But a lot of people aren't going to go out and buy another TV until either A, they feel like they're missing out on something with their current TV, which I don't. I mean, there's definitely a good amount of 4K TV like content out there currently,
Apple
but
TV only streams in 4K.
I don't think that's true because I definitely watch Apple TV stuff all of the time.
That you can watch 4K content on a 1080p screen. It just doesn't look as good. That's
Mm-hmm.
not how that works. Like, okay, what
But
quality?
it's not gonna stream it. It'd be like I would imagine it's probably like YouTube. I doubt it's downloading all the 4K content. It's probably downsizing it and then doing it that way. I would think. I don't. It doesn't make sense for them to, unless it's like a bandwidth thing.
That's a good question.
Like the content's definitely there for people that want it. But as I said, it's kind of the incentive thing. I feel like a lot of people aren't going to upgrade until either A, their TVs break,
Mm-hmm.
or B, there's some sort of content that they feel like they're missing out on.
To be honest, that's the reason why my two TVs were upgraded
And I
3 years ago.
well, and kind of the surprising thing is, I think it makes more sense for gamers to upgrade to the 4K because it's the enticement there. I don't know, maybe it's just me. I definitely think that there's, I don't know, maybe it's just the type of stuff that I watch too. There's not very many things where I'm like, oh man, I wish I saw this in 4K. I think it looks so much better. But I don't really watch a lot of things that are like super CG. Like,
I mean, that's not no, that wouldn't be enhanced by 4K. That's not how that works.
but it's more likely to look nice than say like Barbie. Like,
No, that's really not how it works. Okay, so to give you an example, the movies that we get in theaters
mhm,
are above 4K.
yeah.
So if you want the same kind of quality that you would get at a movie theater, you get that quality, but slightly downgraded with a 4K TV. The picture is much clearer. The actual when things are in movement, it's like smoothed out a lot more, and the per pixel like range essentially, where it's like you know how when you have like a smaller image and it's kind of like stretched and it's like that looks slightly off, things look a lot more realistic just in general. So CGI movies are actually probably worse for 4K because you're going to notice much more of the flaws in a CGI film when you have a 4K TV. A more better like usage case for like a 4K TV is watching like actual normal television programming. Watching stuff like, for instance, I watch wrestling in 4K. Wrestling in 4K looks fucking incredible. Like you could see like everything from like the crowd, the signs they are holding, to like exactly when that person's hand comes down to give you that 3 count, that sort of deal. If they're shooting with those cameras, which WWE for a while was shooting with those cameras, it looks incredibly clear and everything looks more realistic, kind of like a photograph that was taken, more so than something that you would see on like a television channel, for instance. It does take a little bit getting used to because at times it can be a little uncanny because it looks too clear to the point where you're like, this can like give away its flaws. It's like I said, for instance, with CGI films and everything, you're more likely to notice the flaws when you have a better TV, that sort of deal. But like something like Oppenheimer, something like Barbie, it would actually be better on a 4K TV than it would on like a lower resolution TV because it doesn't have as much CGI. It's more about a group of people talking in a place or having conversations here, there, and wherever, and more plot heavy than it is CGI and action heavy. So because of that, it would look far better than your average, like, I don't know, for instance, Avengers, like the older Avengers films. I
So
think
basically, what you're saying is 4K is great for boring movies, but anything that's exciting, don't bother.
no,
I know
because it's
it's not
still
what you're saying, but
good. But
you're actually turning me off to 4K,
yeah, no,
like
no, I
pretty
would say
significantly.
yeah, no, that's fine, but that's why it works better with video games, like you were talking about before,
Mhm.
because like they're not trying to sell you an illusion using real actors. They're just it's just a video game, like through and through, and that's why 4K works so well for a video game
But
because of
then
the
you're also just like,
cohesiveness.
but but I would think,
Mhm.
just based on, if you're like, hey, CGI looks like shit, then my mind goes
No,
to,
no, 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 no. You're misunderstanding me. CGI can look like shit. That's why the example I was about to give was like older Avengers films, for
Mhm.
instance, on 4K Blu-ray, or an older movie, for instance, on 4K Blu-ray that used like older CGI. Kind of, you're gonna kind of notice it. If you watch some of the shittier new Marvel films, such as like the Quantum Verse with Ant-Man or whatever. Oh my god, does that look like dog shit? But like something like Daredevil, Netflix, that would look fucking awesome. Something like Squid Game, Netflix, that'd look fucking awesome. So that kind of stuff is what is better for 4K in my opinion. Something with a lot of cohesiveness that actually uh, fuck, I can't even think of the words. I don't even know how to explain it.
It's okay, Brandon. We all
Ah,
hate 4K now. You
no,
succeeded.
no, 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 no.
It's okay. I've just realized that because if like a lot of CGI looks like shit, then probably the video games you're complaining about look like shit.
No, you
And I was
fucking
right about
idiot.
Dead Space the whole time.
No, you
So
don't understand. The reason CGI would look bad is because it's right next to a real actor. If you don't actually have the cohesion in the actual fucking film, then it
all
doesn't
right,
work.
let's just remake Barbie with Jar Jar Binks then, and it will be
Then it would
fine.
look like garbage.
Oh, sorry. We'll remake the Avengers with Jar Jar Binks then.
And
So
remake
then,
Oppenheimer with Jar Jar Binks.
yeah, we'll remake them all with Jar Jar Binks. It'll just increase the quality of the
No, it
4K.
won't. That's literally the exact opposite of what I just told you.
But then you won't have the real actors to bring you down. So,
Oh, you mean everyone is Jar Jar Binks?
yes, you
Oh,
could
no,
put them in a
no,
dress, maybe put some lipstick on, have maybe like um Sith Jar Jar. He can be like the
Oh,
Emperor.
Jar Jar was a Sith to begin with. Everyone knows that.
Well, then you're gonna have him in the closet, the Sith closet, and him out of the Sith closet. So,
Do you even know what you're talking about at this point?
Mostly. So,
all right, that's
but
fine.
I'm taking this pathway and I'm just running with it. So, I'm totally ingrained in this path now.
Okay.
That's just I don't know. That's just where I am. No, but I mean it makes sense. What you're saying. But I said I think you just like I said. I think with where I am, value wise, for 4K, I've not seen anything that personally is like, oh hey, you really need to get this, yeah. And I'm sure it's there. And I'm sure there's content that I would enjoy with it. But I guess maybe to more your point, like why are there people who haven't upgraded yet? That'd kind of be what it is. I've not seen anything necessarily as like I feel like I'm missing out by not having it. That's where I am. So I'm totally fine living in my 1080 ignorance. Because guess what? Everything looks good there. And if I don't have anything to compare it to, I don't know.
I mean, I guess.
Because think about it like this. Now I don't have to worry about if it's an old CG movie or a new one. It's going to look the same either way.
Well, then you get. Never mind. It doesn't matter. You'll twist everything I say. It doesn't matter.
I mean, it's not. But I do agree. Really, they shouldn't be. I guess maybe to rewind to kind of how we ended up down this pathway in the first place. I agree that they really shouldn't be putting out new systems if they're not going to commit to what they've already been doing.
In the box of the PS5, like the box I literally have sitting
box?
It says 8K. Not a single game, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Not a single game has done that ever on the PlayStation 5 yet, and we're about to go into the PS5 Pro instead.
That's where the 8K is. We're going to get MLB The Show 8K, and it's going to blow everyone's minds.
Sure.
Hey, that seems like a game that actually would probably be good for 8K.
Yeah, probably.
Mm-hmm. I mean, really, actually, probably would be. Make some great looking stadiums. And the other thing with that too is like, as opposed to a lot of different things, you're really focused on a very small area, so they can really go and put a ton of detail in it. Like, it's just a stadium and everything that's in the stadium, but you're not building like these, brawling fields and things. But I feel like I've derailed your question too far.
Yeah. Yeah, you kind of have. I guess the original question was like, is it acceptable for 30 FPS to be on modern consoles? And my answer is no. I don't think in 2024 it should be acceptable to not have a performance mode in modern console games.
Yeah, like I said, I think
Switch is not a modern console.
I wasn't saying that. I was saying I think in my opinion, like I said, I think it really kind of matters more on what the trade off is, and so if you have to make a choice, I guess. Well, you know what? Here's the other question though. Kind of what we were talking about before. So if frame rate is that important for you, and it's you can only have this is a limited list. So feel free to choose something that I'm not going to just throw out here.
Yeah,
but
of course.
Obviously, if their goal is to get 60 FPS, they might have to take some of those resources from somewhere else.
Yeah.
Where do you think that they should take them from?
Turn off ray tracing.
That's
as simple as that. Turn off ray tracing, put it 1080p, do not go lower than 1080p. Maybe lower the shadow quality a bit, and then you're good. That the CPU is mostly stressed by shadow quality, more so than anything else. And I would sooner play a game with low shadows than I would like below 1080p.
Yeah,
if that makes any sense.
It's a good place to take it from. It's always the lighting.
Yeah, no, lighting's fine. Lighting and shadows are different. They actually would be considered different because lighting normally goes based off of global illumination, and global illumination settings can go into either nanite or ray tracing, as well as things like path tracing, or just in general normal global illumination. But shadows is like a different setting all on its own. So I would still keep the lighting like medium or whatever, but like make the shadows lower, because the shadows in the grand scheme of thing is not going to be that big a deal, as opposed to how bad it would look in like 1080p. I mean, in sub 1080p when upscaled to a higher resolution TV. Yeah. I think that's completely acceptable. Or just start using baked in shadows again with some games, like maybe. Because like baked in shadows, when you look at baked in shadows on games from like the PlayStation 3, PS4 era, they look damn good. And they were not as intensive as non-baked in shadows. And yeah, it's just, I don't know. I think a lot of people have kind of gotten lost in the sauce, so to speak, of all this new technology and everything, and have stopped making games that run well using the technology. Like I said, there's definitely some outliers. I think Returnal did really well, and I do think Ratchet and Clank is still the best example, period, of options as well as a really good game with solid performance. But I don't know, man. I do feel like people are either trying to push people towards these next half gen of consoles, or just are lazy and not like making an attempt. And I don't know which one it is, but I hate either one of the answers.
No, neither answer is good. Yeah, I firmly believe there's no reason for this pro system to exist. But yeah, you can't justify your current thing, and it's not even that old. Make some stuff that's optimized for it first. Then worry about a pro system.
And I guess I'd say the last thing I would say about it is, right, we see all these games, right, that are they're running sub 30 FPS, but then I have to point to the fact that we literally had a headset released last year that is one of the best VR headsets and looks like super immersive, looks incredible and everything, and that's playable on the same console at 90 FPS. VR is way more intensive than just a normal game. So my question is, why are they able to do that, but not able to do a normal game? It doesn't make any sense.
What is the headset output at?
I think it's 1800p each eye. Let me double check. It's definitely above 1440p. It might even be 4K. I'll have to double check. But the headset outputs double because it's one in each eye. So let's see, PSVR 2. In fact, like once this comes to PC, I'm buying one like easily, because PSVR 2 is one of the better VR headsets that's not a grand. So
yeah.
And they already announced that they were 2000 by 2040. That is as close to 4K in each eye as humanly possible, and it runs at 120 FPS.
Okay.
I don't think there's an excuse when you could do something like that. Like, you look at something like Horizon's Call of the Wild in PSVR, and it looks incredible. How are they able to do something like that and not just a normal fucking flat screen game? It doesn't make any sense.
I mean, it might be more trickery. I don't know. I haven't played the game, so I'm not sure, if they have any ways that they can kind of focus the graphics a bit more. I'm not sure.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree that there's definitely some trickery there going on there, because I know that there's, like, depending on where your eye looks, it can lower the resolution around it. But my point is, it still takes a lot of processing power to run VR.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
So
Oh,
like,
absolutely.
how are you doing this and you can't do something for flat screen games? It doesn't make any sense. It again just feels like they're not trying, and I really hope that's not the case. But more and more each day, it feels like that is indeed the case.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I guess I would just have to do, I guess it's probably back to, my old adage, you make the game for the platform.
Yeah.
So, and Sony's going to be more inclined with their own stuff like Horizon to make sure it's done right because they need to sell the
All three of the games
iPad.
were games made for the PlayStation platform
Mm-hmm.
too.
Did
So
Sony?
that is a
Yeah.
very good point. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, that would be my guess. And it tends to be more third parties. They're just like, whatever. So,
Yeah.
across all platforms, really. So, I was like, whatever, good enough.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't feel like I really, at the end of the day, you don't get that old school polish on things like you used to.
No,
So,
you really don't, and it kind of sucks.
nope, because it's definitely, it's always we can patch it later, good enough.
Mm-hmm.
Looking more for review scores. Yeah, which is kind of across there. Yeah. I don't. Do you have any more thoughts on this topic?
No, I think that's gonna be it for me, honestly.
Okay. Well, good questions. I like them. As I think the second one probably would have been better if you didn't have someone who was so uncaring about frame rates. But
Yeah, no, I get that. I thought it might be good to have the conversation with you because of the fact that you are so uncaring about frame rates. So like if even someone such as yourself could admit that it's unacceptable for modern technology to be falling behind what it started out at when it doesn't really seem to have the advantages that it initially was shown to have, then like maybe that's even more of a glowing like, oh yeah, something's up with the industry, something's going on and something isn't right, because if someone such as yourself can even tell when you don't care that much about frame rate, then it should be obvious to anyone else, if that makes
yeah,
sense.
that is true. That is a really good point. Yeah. Um, and I mean, I definitely am in the camp of y'all aren't making games for the platform that you're on. That's
Yeah.
been an issue with the PlayStation 5, since the release, pretty much, aside from those three games.
I mean, I wouldn't even say that I agree with that. I think the first 2 years of PlayStation 5 is legitimately like incredible. Like I think they have some really solid, really well made titles there. And then I think it just falls off a cliff once it hits year three.
Could be. And, that might be more of them, a lot of that could be, year three is about when you got to there's a lot more things that were going on at that time,
Yeah.
So I'm sure those things have all factored into it, like mergers, PC stuff, more
Yeah.
multi-platform things.
Yeah, because like, all right, so here's a few examples of games that released in year three for PS5. So you had things like Forspoken, which ran at 720p, which is not good. You had Strangers of Paradise, which Stranger of Paradise, fucking excellent game. I love that game so much, but the issue is it does look like a muddy, blurry mess, and in its again in its 60 FPS mode, and there's really no reason for that.
Hmm.
You have Callisto Protocol. That game ran like a fucking nightmare.
Yeah.
You had issues with Forbidden West when it first launched, but it's fine now. It's better now. They ironed those out, and it's fine. Gran Turismo actually runs excellent. I think Gran Turismo 7's a fucking hidden gem on the PS5, and then it sucks that they pumped so many microtransactions into it, and that they were so egregious at the start, and they've pulled back on them now. But yeah, Ghostwire Tokyo, that game was a little bit of a stuttery mess as well. Elden Ring, excellent game, fantastic. Even in its performance mode, it dropped below 60. That's not okay. I'm looking at some of these games, and it's like some of these games, the cracks are starting to show, and it's kind of really weird that this was a thing. And again, I will point to Forspoken is another Square Enix game. So is Stranger of Paradise. It almost feels like Square Enix just can't make games anymore.
Yeah, possible. I mean, they've always been a very good looking, games for a lot of stuff. So, but I think that's more graphics and optimization.
Hmm.
So, yeah, I'm trying to think. I mean, their 2D, 3D games look good, but that's different.
Yeah. Oh my God, did you see what happened to Unicorn Overlord?
No, why is it bad?
So the game is awesome. The
Okay.
translation is so bad that the original developer was like, "It's unacceptable what you guys did to my translation of this game."
Oh well, it's impressive.
Yeah.
No, I hadn't seen it yet. I saw the reviews or whatever were coming out, and I was like, oh, I should look at this, and I didn't.
I mean, it's vanillaware. So if you like vanillaware games, then it's awesome. But like, God, the translation is so fucking bad. Uh, Here we go. Oh God,
What?
I just found a bunch of people blaming other people for not understanding the script.
Oh, so it's their fault because they just don't understand it very well. Is that what they're saying?
Yeah, the normal thing that journalists do to people. You
Yeah.
complained about something, these people are clearly funding us, and we have ads for their game. We can't accept that, so we have to blame you for not understanding how gaming works, because clearly it's not on us. Clearly we're not taking money. Clearly. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, so here we go. Here's a few examples. Um, do 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 do. Okay, so here is what the line is. I think fighting Renault with our current strength would be difficult. That's the direct translation of the Japanese line.
Hmm.
This is what the American is. Casting the gauntlet at Renault's feet would only send us further into an early grave.
Wait, what was the original line again?
Fighting Renault with our current strength would be difficult. They wrote it like you're at a fucking Renaissance fair and someone's talking to you in character. That's what they wrote.
They probably just took the crappy, like the very loosely
So
translated
several
script.
people actually think that they used AI.
That's what I was gonna say. I was say they probably just took it and were like, "Hey, chatbot, spice this up a little bit." That's what they got. And they're like, "Good
Joseph, I
enough."
leave the rest to you. That's the literal line. That's the
Uh,
actual translation from Japanese to English.
yeah,
This is what we got. My faith and more lies with you, Joseph. I only pray that it be enough.
yeah, totally AI. Screams AI.
Farewell. That is the literal line. Farewell, and may the heavens guide you ever. That's that's the fucking English line.
And the thing is, like, it's just based on all these
We
extra things that they're
completely
putting out there.
fell for it. Guy laid out the bait, and we just had to take a nibble. This is fucking garbage.
Yeah, no,
Dude,
it's totally AI. There's
it
no
sounds like it
way.
was AI.
Yeah, like I do that shit all the time. They're like, "Hey, spice this up a little bit for me." I'm like, "Okay." Um, yeah, especially considering too, like those things are kind of almost they're like borderline changing the lore of that world. Um, because some of those things you were saying, like all of a sudden they're like, now religion's in here. Like if you start saying
Mhm.
like, oh, let the heavens bless you, and that wasn't in there before, like okay, well now there's religion there somewhere. Yeah, I would say very A, I'm 100% on the AI train, and B, very questionable localizing practices.
I
Really.
can't hide anything from you, huh? That's the direct translation of the line. Our line. I couldn't pretend otherwise. You'd sniff it out the lie before it scarce passed my lips.
Jeez, people need to calm the fuck down. Like, like
You can
there's, and the thing, there is something to be said just for like simple lines, like that one you said before was just like "farewell, John" or whatever. Like
yeah.
that's very direct and to the point, and it says a lot about the character that says it. If that's all they're saying, like not everything needs to be a freaking novel written by a drama student. Like,
So if this isn't written by AI, this reads like what game journalists write in their fucking articles where they go on fucking tangents for no reason.
yeah, I don't.
I'm saying don't rush things. Yeah, like that's the healthy way to think about it. Uh Grand Coraline wasn't built in a day, you know? That's what it translated don't rush things to. Like what the fuck is this shit?
Yeah, that's weird. Yeah, I don't.
Go, get away! Get your vile claws off of me! Let her go! What business could you have with Scarlet? Unhand her this instant! Like, the 3 words were the original translation, and then a drama student wrote the rest.
Yeah, like I don't need to be expanded on that much. Like, yeah, that's someone taking too many
You
liberties.
bastard, you intend to plunge the whole continent into war. That's the original line. You seek to plunge the continent into war. Fareth need not suffer your delusions. That's the
Well, it
that's the
started out
localization
okay,
line.
and then it stopped being okay.
So bad. It's actually awful. Like, holy shit.
Yeah, like this is not good rating at all. And I would even say if if these were like the original translations, like literal, that's horrible writing. Uh, so I don't know
Oh, what I'm
why.
reading are the actual English translations.
No,
Like,
no, no, I
that's
know.
what the
I was
actual
the
game
actual
says.
English translations, not too bad. The localized ones, not great.
They're fucking awful. They're literally
Uh,
someone's fan fiction.
yeah,
That's what they read like.
yeah, and I'd say it's honestly it's pretty rare for
Hey,
a
let's
localizer.
go. I'm prepared to fight to the end. Turn 2. Today marks our first foray into the mist of despair, which hang heavy over our home, mist that will soon be dispelled.
The fuck? A, that's too much. B, also, if I was playing said game, I wouldn't want to read all this fluff like that, and that's what it is. It's fluff. It's taking a
Oh my
very
god.
like simple
Okay,
concept and turning it into
this is
garbage.
the antithesis of fluffing it up. The line is understood. The
Oh
English
god.
translation is very much agreed. Like, why did we add 3 words instead of just saying understood?
It's almost like they are like um like they're just so defiant. They do not want to use any of those original words, and so they have to do more. They're like, oh, we increased this game's length by 150%. How did you do that? We
You know
tripled the
what?
word count.
You know what? Maybe they got paid based on word count.
Hey, maybe
Oh,
they
dude,
probably
that
did.
would be such a fucking that would be
Other
big brain and such a
although
scam.
it is such a scam. But really, it should be. You would think that they would pay per word from the original as opposed to the localized one. But who knows? I don't know. Yeah, no, it's a mess. Yeah, I don't know why anyone signed off on this. I don't know why anyone wasn't there to be like, hey, calm down, calm
Well, they
down.
have now. They've seen it now and they've been like, "What the fuck is wrong with you, America?"
But America hasn't been like, yeah, nothing. Oopsies. Yeah.
Oh no, they've been like, "You don't understand how game development works." That's literally what they've said.
Oh, oh no, we do. We saw similar problems like this 30 years ago. And guess why it stopped? Because it was dumb. That's why.
These
So,
are fucking hilarious though. Like how bad they are is actually incredible.
yeah, that is not good. I agree. All right. Well, that was a fun fact of the day. I had no clue about that.
Yeah, yeah, and like I said, the original Final Fantasy Tactics developer, which I actually think worked on this as well, came out and was like, "What the fuck did you guys do?" Essentially, when he was interviewed,
It's like I was gone for 3 seconds.
it's just that scene from Community where he comes back in with the pizzas and everything's on fire.
Yeah, like makes no sense. Not a single sense. Um,
Jesus Christ, dude. And this game looks so good. Like, it actually looks incredible. I mean, like I said, Vanillaware, fantastic company. You know who Vanillaware is, right?
yeah.
Dragon's Crown, fucking stuff like uh, what is it? Starts with an O.
Odin
Odin
Sphere?
Sphere. There we go. That's it. So such good games, which I couldn't remember the names of because I'm awful with names. But yeah, those games are incredible, and the art for this looks incredible. The game itself looks incredible. But then they open their mouth, and it gets less incredible when that happens.
Oopsies.
I guess I have another rumor that just came through, so I'll go ahead and throw this out there. Apparently, Persona 6's development is rumored to be about 95% complete, with the expected release date to be in 2025.
I did see that.
We might be getting Persona 6 very soon.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, you figure they're probably just using the year to polish it up. So.
Yeah, probably.
But they also said it's going to be like, supported with 2 years of DLC or something as well. So, yeah, I'll buy it in 2027 when they've released the full version, so I won't have to start over again. I think that's what pissed me off the most. Those games are too long to play through, like, a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I want you to play Persona 3 Reload. It's so good.
Oh, yeah. I know it's funny, because I heard an ad on it for YouTube the other day, and I was like, what is Persona music playing? And I was like, oh, yeah, Persona 3 came out.
Yeah, also, super cool thing that was announced. If you have Game Pass Premium, I think that's what it's called, or Ultra, or whatever. You know what I'm talking about. The top tier of Game Pass, you actually get the DLC for Persona 3 when it releases.
Oh, that's very nice.
So it's part of the perk system. So I would recommend playing Persona 3 once the final quote-unquote chapter releases, because Persona 3 when it came out originally, there was an FES variant, and FES added another chapter that takes place in the game but is its own side story that you can experience, and that chapter, which is essentially going to be the definitive edition of Persona 3, will release later this year, and you'll be able to either buy the DLC obviously through the season pass, or you'll be able to buy Game Pass Ultimate and play it through the perk system, and also play the game on Game Pass, which is pretty fucking cool, honestly.
Yeah, I think that is pretty cool. So, I don't know, I'll have to check it out. I'm planning to get it eventually. I want to play it. I did really enjoy Persona 5, so probably will eventually. What platform? I don't know. It would be smart for me to play it on Xbox. But
I mean, it's part of Game Pass, isn't it?
I think so.
Persona 5 and Persona 3 are both on Game Pass. I actually think Persona 4 is. I think you can play every mainline modern Persona game on Game Pass right now.
I believe so.
Which I would recommend doing.
I know at least the original 3, 4, and 5 are on there.
I don't think the original 3 is on there anymore. I think it got replaced with
the new one. With the new
one?
Oh,
yeah.
That's fair.
I'm gonna actually check because I have Game Pass right next to me. So let me just pull up Persona. Okay, so all that we have on here now is actually Persona 3 and Persona Tactica. So I guess the others got dropped. So that sucks. But I would play Persona 3 at least. So because I mean that game's incredible. I mean every Yakuza game's also on Game Pass, and I would recommend playing Yakuza as well. But we'll take you tackling some of my favorite franchises one at a time. One day I'll get you to play Yakuza. I think you'll actually really enjoy it.
Yeah, I might play one of them eventually. Let's see. The one you were just playing through, Infinite Wealth, sounded like it'd be fun.
It is a great game, but that is the 15th in the series.
Okay, I'm not playing 14 other games.
I'm not asking you to play 14 other games. I would recommend either starting with 0 or starting with Like a Dragon. If you start with 0, it is literally the beginning of the beginning. So nothing has happened yet. You're not going to see things that make you go, well, what's that got to do with? And then it gets explained to you several minutes later, or it doesn't. If you play Like a Dragon, as well as The Man Who Erased His Name and Infinite Wealth are 3 games in the same franchise. Granted, there are a few flashbacks in Infinite Wealth that do harken back to every other literal Yakuza game that's ever been made, but that one chapter is just like, it's 100% nostalgia for anyone that's played all the games since the beginning. But yeah, my suggestion to you is turn-based. If you're going to play a turn-based game, start with Like a Dragon. If you want to play a beat-em-up action-adventure game, play Yakuza 0.
Okay.
And then you can decide from there if you want to play any of the others based on which one of those you play. So,
okay.
Yeah. I do think Yakuza 0 is, before Infinite Wealth, one of the best games made in the entire series. So if you wanted to play that and get like a feel for the characters, it would be 0 that I would start with.
Okay. All right. What else do you want to talk about?
I don't really have that much else, I don't think. But we've talked about a shit ton, so.
Yeah. Ready to wrap up?
Yeah, I think we're good.
Okay. Wow. Thank you, everyone, for listening to us tonight. Don't forget to find us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google, Amazon, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. You can also find us on game-crunch.com. All of our old episodes are there. And if you want to reach out to us, you can send us an email at gamecrunchcast@gmail.com. Brandon.
Hello.
Any final thoughts?
Nope, I think I'm good.
Okay. That's it. My name is Blake Anastasia. Find me online. I'm Clash of Bang with Air or on your favorite gaming console. And until next week, game on.
Game on.
Oh, right. Did you see I put that Mario video there? Did you see it?
Maybe I missed it. Hold on, let me go see.
Put it in general.
Okay.
No, we were talking about, speaking of, we forgot to talk about the Mario movie, too, although not like there's really anything to say about it.
We also forgot to talk about the new Lego thing. Did you see that?
The Mario Kart thing?
Yeah, Mario Kart Lego. That sounds fucking awesome.
Yeah. Smart idea.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm surprised they didn't do something like that with the like AR kart thing. Like, let you do something with that. The use that like Mario Kart like on tour or whatever, where it's like uses the Wii camera.
Oh,
Build
yeah,
something
okay.
with that.
I think they're just gonna ignore that Mario Kart on tour thing. We gotta move on from that one.
I can't imagine it sold very well for them. And they were selling it on clearance for a while.
Mm-hmm.
But they did surprisingly go through and do DLC for it, so.
Oh, they did? I didn't even realize that.
Yeah, they added some extra courses, like a whole nother thing. I don't even think I turned it back on to try it.